Hey, welcome back. Today we're diving into something we all experience, that instant gut feeling. That snap judgment you make about someone or something. Is it just a hunch, a random guess, or is our brain tapping into something, well, kind of like a superpower? Let's get into it.
Check this out. This comes from a Reddit user, Vivigil, who's talking about watching movies. They say they can just call out the villain or the big twist, and they're almost always right. Their friends think they're spoiling it, that they've seen it before, but they haven't. They just know.
I mean, does that sound familiar at all? Have you ever just sensed something was off? Or maybe predicted something with crazy accuracy, but you couldn't really explain how you did it? It really can feel like you've got a sixth sense working. And it turns out that feeling is super common. So let's take a look at some of these personal stories, because they really show this incredible pattern recognition in action.
And these experiences are all over the place. You've got people who can solve Agatha Christie mysteries before the big reveal. Then there's something way more intense, like someone who spotted tiny micro-cues of hostility and just knew a situation was about to turn bad. It's all about noticing when someone's words just don't line up with their actions. And for most people, it's not like they're doing math in their head. It just feels like intuition.
So is all intuition just one big thing? Well, one online discussion came up with this really fascinating idea that splits this ability into two totally different types. So on one side, you have abstract connections. Think of it like a therapist listening to a patient and suddenly realizing their anxiety at work and their fears in relationships are actually coming from the exact same place. It's about seeing the hidden theme. And then on the other side, you have discrete patterns. This is more concrete stuff, like a sonographer who can spot a tiny abnormality on a scan instantly because it just doesn't fit the thousands of normal scans they've seen before. Okay, so these stories are super compelling, right? But it brings up a much bigger question. Is this all just lucky guesses and weird feelings, or is there a real, actual, measurable process happening inside our brains? Well, you guessed it, science totally has a name for it. It turns out this isn't magic at all. It's a fascinating process called thin slices. And it's the science behind how our brains make these incredibly fast and often shockingly accurate judgments.
So the term was really pioneered by researchers Ambati and Rosenthal back in the day. And a thin slice is exactly what it sounds like, a super short clip of someone's behavior. We're talking less than 5 minutes, sometimes just a few seconds. And yet, from these tiny little samples, our brains can draw these huge, powerful conclusions about who a person is.
And this isn't some new agey thing either. Social psychologists have been digging into this stuff for decades, trying to figure out exactly how powerful our first impressions are and where they go wrong.
So what can we actually figure out in an instant? A really big study from Carney, Colvin, and Hall put this to the test. They wanted to know how accurate we really are at judging different personality traits from just super short video clips. All right, let's get right to the good stuff. If you only get 5 seconds, just 5, to look at a complete stranger, what can your brain figure out with any real accuracy? Okay, the results here are pretty wild. In just 5 seconds, we're actually moderately accurate at judging if someone's an extrovert. You can see the check mark right there. We're also pretty decent at spotting negative vibes, like hostility, which, hey, goes right back to that story about sensing danger. And get this, we can even get a moderate read on someone's intelligence. But look at that red X next to agreeableness. Our ability to judge kindness or warmth in 5 seconds? Yeah, it's just not accurate. So what this really tells us is that our brains are basically wired for social survival. It's like we have this super fast system for figuring out who's got a lot of energy and, more importantly, who might be a threat. But judging if someone's a genuinely nice, agreeable person, that's on the slow track. It takes more time. But hold on. The study didn't just stop there. It turns out it's not only about how long you observe someone, it's also about when you happen to see them. And this just makes so much sense when you think about it. That first minute of any new conversation, it's usually kind of awkward, right? People are still getting settled. But that third minute, the researchers literally called it the sweet spot. People are more relaxed, they're being more themselves, and the information you get from watching them is way more reliable for making a good judgment.
So what's the magic number for the length of that slice? Turns out it's about 60 seconds. A full minute gives you the absolute best bang for your buck, that perfect balance of accuracy and efficiency. After that, any gains you make in accuracy start to really slow down.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We started out with these personal stories of what feels like a superpower, this incredible intuition, and we ended up with hard scientific data. So, how do they connect? So what's the bottom line? Well, first, that gut feeling isn't magic. It's a real cognitive process called thin slicing. And this one process can explain both of those types of intuition we talked about, from spotting a tiny, discrete, hostile look to piecing together more abstract clues over time. Our brains are survival tools, right? So they prioritize spotting things like extroversion and negativity over kindness. And finally, timing is everything. That perfect 60-second slice, taken from the middle of a conversation, is the gold standard. It's all part of this amazing social survival kit that's hardwired right into our heads.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Knowing that our brains are constantly making these lightning-fast judgments based on these tiny little slices of behavior, how does that change the way you trust your own first impressions? And maybe even more important, how does it make you think about the first impression that you're giving off to everyone else?